Hi guys, my name is Emily and I'm going to be showing you guys how to make photo stories. So these photo stories are catered towards social media, so they're going to be photo stories posted on social media. So what are photo stories? Photo stories are basically just a series of photos about an event, situation, sport, basically anything you can make a story about. And it's basically combining a photo gallery with a web story, written story type thing, and you just combine it all and then post it onto social media. So the reason why we do photo stories are so we can kind of tell stories on social media, because people use social media so much now. It's really easy to tell stories, tell people what's going on to a larger audience, and they're really good for that. They're really good for reaching a larger audience and having our audience know what's kind of going on in the school or going on in our community. It's just a great way to showcase this in a mini format that's also very detailed and informative. So where will stories be posted? They will be posted on Instagram and Twitter because these are the social medias that have the best format for photo stories at the current moment. So first of all, how do you make a photo story? So photo stories have three main components. They have the subject or the pictures. So you take like different pictures of a certain subject. This can be a class, an event, an activity, sports, anything like that. And then you take those variety of photos. So once you have all your photos, you go to the next step, which is writing a caption. And the caption is basically just describing what the class, event, activity is going on. What is going on in these photos? The viewers want to know what's going on in the photos because just looking at the photos, they can see a lot of things, but they don't know exactly what's going on. So your caption is going to be their go-to spot to know what is going on, what is happening in the photos, and giving details about what is going on. And then third of all, you have a quote from that person. So you get your photos and then you have a caption, and then finally you get a quote. So the quote is just a supplement. Whenever you're writing stories, whenever you're doing interviews, whenever you're like making videos, you always have quotes from people. So this is the same thing. You want to get a quote from someone involved in the activity just to give a new perspective, a different perspective, or an inside perspective of what is going on in the photos. So with these three components, you have a whole photo story, and you will be able to tell a story through social media. So that is what we're going to try to get to. So here's an example, and I'm going to walk through all three steps in this example. So the first thing you have to do is gather your photos. So for Instagram photo stories, you need 5 to 10 photos, and you want to make sure they are a mix of wide, medium, and tight photos. Right here, let me move myself. It just says that these are example photos in a photo story. So you have 5 to 10 photos, and it's really important to get really creative and get like wide shots, get medium shots, get tight photos. All these different shots are what create your piece, what create your story. If you have a photo story filled with just wide shots, you don't really get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on. So this is a really good example over here. We have a wide shot of people painting, and then we have this like wider shot of this girl painting her parking spot, and then we have this really tight shot of somebody painting their parking spot, just a close-up, and then we have another perspective of people painting their parking spots. So just getting different perspectives, getting creative with the shots that you get. That's my favorite thing about making photo stories, is really getting creative and digging deep into what is going on, getting close-ups, getting different subjects, and getting different aspects of the event, the sport, the activity, the class, anything you're telling a story of. So that's the biggest thing to keep in mind whenever you're taking your pictures, is just variety. Next up, we have the caption. So we have our photos down, and now we're going to talk about the caption. So number 2 is the caption. And the biggest thing you have to know for your caption is who, what, where, when, and why. So your 5 W's, and then I guess your H as well. So your who, what, where, when, why, how, that has to be encompassed into your caption. So if you're looking at the photos, and you're just scrolling through, you're like, it looks like people are painting, but your caption needs to tell them like all the details of what is going on in the photo, the details of the activity, the who, what, where, when, and why. That is the biggest thing. And then third of all is you have to get one quote from the person involved in the story. So this quote is from senior Caroline Blanky. She was one of the girls that was painting. And the quote, because your caption already tells you what is going on in the story, the quote has to be an additive. It has to be something that makes your story better because it gives an inside perspective, it gives an opinion, it gives a feeling, it gives a emotional aspect to the story. So over here, Caroline talks about how she's hopeful for her senior year and how she feels about this event being held. So that is an inside perspective from her being in the story. You want the quote to not just be like, oh, so if you're shooting a photo story about soccer, you don't want the quote just to be like, we won 7-2. It has to be something like, oh, I'm super excited about the season, or my favorite thing about the sport soccer, or something like that, that gives that personal perspective that really makes the viewer feel connected to the photos. Because if we just had the caption, the viewers would be like, oh, okay, I know what's going on, but the quote is what really connects the audience to the photo, really lets them see that inside perspective that they wouldn't have from even the photos or the caption itself. So that quote is just the third aspect that really ties the whole photo story together and brings that emotional, more deep aspect to the story. And of course, we have to credit ourselves because we want everybody to know that you created this beautiful photo story. And yeah. So here are some other examples of really good photo stories. This photo story was from Knights of the Round Table, and as you can see, there's a who, what, where, when, why right there. February 24th, that's when. Who is Knights of the Round Table, students and teachers. What is, it is Knights of the Round Table. When it was held at 6:30 on February 24th. Where it was at the gym. And why, that's kind of the, they're given the medal and they were chosen for the award of like which student made a great impact on them. So all the components are in there, and then the quote kind of emphasizes on the why and then also shares a personal aspect of the story. So the quote is about Maddie Tierney and why she's happy she received the award, which is a perfect quote because it shows that more personal aspect, that more emotional aspect of what is going on in the photo. It is also important to pick somebody in your photo story that is in the photo itself, because then it creates that another connection. The photo stories are all about connections, and the more connections you can create, the better photo story is, because then people are like, oh, Maddie Tierney said that, and Maddie Tierney is the girl that is hugging Miss Wilkins right now. So they're like, wow, this is so cool because we can see like her personal perspective, and we can also see her in the photo. So here are some other photos that were taken in the photo story. You can tell that there's all different perspectives. There's a parent sitting, that's a more wide shot. We have a more medium shot of a girl receiving the award. We have another perspective of the student sitting there, and then we have a closer, tighter shot of just one singular student watching the awards. Here's another example. It is soccer. So of course, sports are one of the best photo shoots, or not the best, but more common photo stories that people shoot because everybody loves sports, you know? This gives a who, what, where, when, why kind of aspect of what the game was, and that they had a very close game, even though they lost. And then the quote is very impactful as well, because it tells you why one of the girls loves playing soccer and loves her sport. So this is the quote and the caption, and then the photos. And I'll be showing you guys some more photos. So this is some more photos that were in the spread of the photo stories, and there's a bunch of different perspectives. I really like this one photo of this girl, the back of her, and she's holding a ball, because you can see kind of the scoreboard as well, and giving all different perspectives, all different action shots. And then lastly, this is a photo story about the fashion construction class. As I've told you guys before, you can kind of do your photo stories on anything, even classes that are going on in school. So kind of these types of stories about the classes just kind of gives people an insight, because like you can't take every class in the school, so there's lots of interesting classes, and this just gives an insight into the classes. So we have the caption right now, and it's basically telling you what fashion construction is, and then talking about how some of the students draws their inspiration, leading into the quote about how a singular student, Eva Hauser, has drawn her inspiration for the class. So as you can see, the variety of the shots. This is a close-up shot that was a cover photo for the photo story right up here. And then here are the rest of the shots of the photo story. We have a wider one of the room, a more medium one, a different perspective, an up-down perspective of this girl that's sewing, a close-up perspective of the fabrics, and then finally a little perspective of another girl that was sewing. And as I was saying before, Eva was the girl that was talking in the quote. It was her quote about her flannel and why she wanted to make it. And then over here we have Eva sewing. So it's just really good to bring back all the connections. Photo stories are just all about the connections and creating this bigger picture with the story that you're telling. Telling stories through pictures, through captions, and through quotes, and altogether you have an Instagram or social media photo story. So the big things that you have to remember are photo stories have three components. They have the photos, which you get 5 to 10 photos, all different shots. Remember your variety: close, medium, and tight, or close, tight, medium, and wide shots. Yes. Number 2, look for the caption. The caption should be telling the who, what, where, when, and why, and giving details about what is going on in the photos. And then number 3 is your quote. And your quote is always the dig deeper part, the more internal perspective, the personal perspective, the emotional perspective. Getting quotes and asking questions to people that are more emotional, like, what was your happiest moment? Why do you do this? Those questions can really bring out their personal and emotional perspectives. So all 3 components are the components of a photo story, and I hope you guys learned a lot and are ready to do your own photo stories. Have a great day, and I hope you guys have fun making your photo stories. Can't wait to see them. See you guys!